Okay, so this week, for Lent, I invite you to fast from doubt and feast on faith. I invite you to fast from weakness and feast on strength. So do you notice? We create a vacuum through a denial. We fast from doubt and weakness. And then we fill it with an affirmation. I feast on faith and strength. So if you're willing to do so, please repeat the following denial and affirmation after me. I release doubt and weakness.
I release doubt and weakness.
I call forth faith and strength.
I call forth faith and strength.
So my purpose in this Lenten series is to take a personal glimpse into the lives of the 12 disciples who started this process of imparting the light and began the discipleship of all believers. And secondly, to affirm once again the disciples within each one of us and our own divine appointment as the Christ to carry forth the torch of light and truth. My purpose today is to support you in calling forth the spiritual powers of faith and strength under the direction of Christ consciousness. Faith and strength are represented by the disciples Peter and Andrew. So the human condition is that unless you've been at Unity, you're not aware of these 12 powers within you, because this is the one teaching that is unique to Unity, is the 12 powers. And so the Christ in you and me has to call forth these 12 and train them, develop them, and send them forth in the world. So that is the spiritual solution, to use practicality in calling forth, training, and sending forth the 12 powers within us under the direction of Christ consciousness in our daily life and circumstances. There is a power that you can call on every day. I dare say more than one power that you can call upon every day of life. And so what's in it for you? What would be in it if you could call forth these 12 powers? Let's just talk about faith and strength today. What would that do for you if you really called forth faith and strength in any situation facing you this day? What would that do for you?
Release worry.
Pardon?
Release worry.
Release worry. Yeah. Jesus said, how many times, fear not. No need to worry. What? Me worry? Well, that ages me. Okay.
Trust in our capacity.
Pardon?
Trust in our capacity.
It would give us trust in our own capacity. Yes, thank you.
Stop overthinking.
Oh yeah, stop overthinking. What if we could just step out in faith? And Janine?
I would be the eye in the storm.
You would be the eye in the storm. The I, the capital I am, actually. That peace right in the midst of the storm. So I think that's reason enough to listen up, right? Good, good. So in Luke 9, 1 through 2, it says, Then Jesus called the 12 together and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. So are there some demons and diseases you'd like to have power and authority over? And he sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal. That's our job. We have to call forth these 12 in us to go out and heal. Not just physically, not just physical situations, but to heal whatever needs to be healed in the world. The 12 disciples, as I mentioned, symbolically represent the 12 powers, which are also called the faculties. Some of the books call them the 12 faculties, the 12 abilities, the 12 pathways, the 12 expressions, the 12 gifts. By whatever name we call them, it's about us using them in a practical way in our daily life, not just reading about them in the Bible. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore called them the 12 powers of man. He wasn't quite into women's lib yet, so he called them the 12 powers of man, but we know they're also the 12 powers of women. And Emma Curtis Hopkins, who really inspired him to do the work he did on the 12 powers, identified them as the 12 powers of the soul. I just ran across that last week, and I like that, the 12 powers of the soul. But both Emma Curtis Hopkins and Charles Fillmore saw the 12 powers as pathways for us to fully express the Christ that we are, regardless of how we're acting. We are, the essence of us is the Christ. In the Course of Love, it's called the accomplished Christ. That is our true essence. And so that's that part of us that calls forth these disciples, not our ego, but our Christ nature. So the first disciple called was Peter. And I read, I have some notes about Peter, but Peter was a big, booming man, ready with his hands and ready in speech. His sheer human qualities were heartwarming. His vacillating nature, see if you can relate to this, his vacillating nature is so like our own. He could be so strong that the master would call him the rock, and yet he could also exhibit helplessness and weakness. He could be fierce, cutting off the ear of the servant of the high priest in an effort or a moment when he was defending his Lord. And then he could cry, weeping big, manly tears when he was sorrowful for his mistakes and errors. He was one of those human, warm-hearted individuals to whom people instinctively trust their affairs and fortunes. Peter was the spokesman for the disciples, and he became Jesus' spokesman for the entire world. The big fisherman. This was Peter, who represents faith. In Keep A True Lent, which we'll be studying on Wednesdays, the next few Wednesdays, Charles Fillmore wrote, "Faith is the perceiving power of mind, linked with a power to shape substance." Linked with a power to shape substance. Substance is that invisible stuff of which everything is made. And so faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with that power to shape substance. And some of you remember, I've told this story when my house was being built, that I dreamed I was picking up invisible blocks, and as I put them on the foundation of my home, they turned solid. Okay? I was picking up invisible substance and bringing it into manifestation. Fillmore says it is spiritual assurance, the power to do the seemingly impossible, and it's seemingly impossible of our human selves, right? You know, it's impossible unless our divine self steps in. It is a force that draws to us our heart's desire, right out of the invisible spiritual substance. It is a deep inner knowing that that which is sought is already ours for the taking. It's the assurance of things hoped for. So I want to invite you to bring to mind a situation in your life right now. You don't have to tell anybody. It's probably that one that just came to you. Some situation in your life. And regarding this situation, this is where we get practical. I want you to ask yourself, where am I investing my faith in this situation? In my divinity or in my humanity? Am I investing my faith in what I want or what I don't want? Because either way works. Faith works. Am I investing my faith in what I see and hear with my physical eyes and ears, or with inner vision and inner healing. Ask yourself, do I trust God with all my heart and act on the faith that I am made in the image and likeness of God, divinely inheriting all the attributes of God? Do I know that all is well despite appearances to the contrary? Do I know that God in me is greater than he or she that is in the world? Do I believe that all things are possible to God within me and to those others who believe in God in them? Or am I afraid of God's will because of the crucifixion? You know, we've got to get past that one. Now imagine being at the highest level of faith in this situation. A level in which you no longer have faith. You are the Christ expression of faith. And you automatically act and react from faith, perfected in oneness. What would that do to that situation you brought to mind? The second disciple Jesus called was Andrew. And Andrew was the brother of the leader of the apostolic band, Simon Peter. His name is a Greek name and means manliness. Andrew has proven through the years to be one of the most popular of the disciples, and around him a great deal of lore has accumulated. He has often been contrasted with his brother Peter. We know that Peter was impulsive and quick. Andrew is pictured as being canny and conservative. So we send them out together. We send out faith and strength together as a team. Both Andrew and Peter were Galileans, the sons of fishermen by the name of son of a fisherman by the name of John. And Simon Peter and Andrew were originally from the fishing village of Bethsaida. They also had a home in Capernaum. They were the sons of a prosperous fisherman who may have been in partnership with Zebedee, the father of James and John. Before becoming a disciple of Jesus, Andrew and his brother Peter were followers of John the Baptist. So we know they were hungry and thirsting after truth. And when they were called by Jesus, their spiritual appetites were satisfied. Strength, not only in body, but also in mind, idea, and conviction, dominated the lives of this apostle. Andrew represents the spiritual attribute of strength. In Keep A True Lent, Charles Fillmore writes, "Strength is freedom from weakness, stability of character, power to withstand temptation. It is the force or power to do, the capacity to accomplish. The name of Jehovah is a strong tower. The righteous runneth in it and is safe. Strength originates in spirit. The thought and the word spiritually expressed. The thought and the word spiritually expressed bring the manifestation." So again, I invite you to think of a situation in your life. Maybe a challenge, something you don't quite know how to handle, whatever. Just let that situation come to mind. Don't ignore the first one that comes. And then ask yourself, in this situation, am I depending on my divinity, God, or my human self? Or am I depending on other people? Do I know that God in me is stronger than he or she that is in the world? That God is my strength? Do I stand firm in God, relaxed mentally, physically, and spiritually? Do I allow the strength of God to flow into my mind and body? Or do I dissipate my energy with negative thinking, worry, etc.? Do I follow divine guidance and incorporate ideas of divine strength in all I think, feel, say, and do in my daily life? Do I persist in prayer to build stronger faith in God? So now imagine being at the highest level of strength in this situation, a level in which the supreme idea of strength is so incorporated into your whole being that it flows through you as the perfect ability to receive and use strength from God to fill every need. So I hope you can see how you can use these powers in any situation in your life. In prayer chaplain training, we practice calling forth the powers for any prayer. And we'll go around the room, we'll say, okay, this prayer request is for healing. Which of the 12 powers apply? And it's not always just life, but it's faith. It's all these different. Strength would apply in a healing situation. These powers can be so practical if we will learn them and use them. And so how do we do that? How do we learn them? How do we use them? Well, next week, God willing and the creek don't rise, Rennie and I are going to have a booklet for you on all the 12 powers. It didn't quite make it this week. No fault of Rennie's. we won't cast any blame there. But, so that will be one of the ways that you can use the 12 powers in prayer and meditation. Because the handout is going to be based on Winifred Hoffman's book, Your God-Given Potential, in which she shows the level of development of all the 12 powers, and there's 7 levels in each one. So you can find, where am I in a particular situation in life? Where am I on this faith scale? Where am I on this strength scale? So that there's an affirmation that will take me to the next level, or give me an idea of what I need to do to get to that next level. So in prayer and meditation, I invite you to focus for faith. Faith is located in the center of the brain, the pineal gland. And so I invite you to breathe when you're in prayer meditation, to imagine breathing in and out as if through the pineal gland. And call forth your faith under the direction of Christ consciousness. You can make an affirmation if you wish, one of the affirmations that will be in the booklet. For instance, I am the Christ expression of faith, and I act and react from faith perfected in oneness. I am the Christ expression of faith, and I act and react from faith perfected in oneness. Strength, I invite you to do the same thing. Strength is located in the small of the back. And so you do the same thing. You breathe. If you're needing to call for strength, you breathe as if you're breathing in and out through the small of the back. And call forth your strength under the direction of Christ consciousness. And I use the same affirmation, just changing the words. I am the Christ expression of strength, and I act and react from strength perfected in oneness. I am the Christ expression of strength, and I act and react from strength perfected in oneness. And the other thing you can do is you can join me in the community room on Wednesday nights. The next, I think, five Wednesday nights, we'll go to the Wednesday after Easter so we can finish the book, and so we can have a party. We like to party. And if you don't know, Jesus was a party guy. He really liked to party. So we're going to come and bring all of our disciples and have a big party. And that'll be on Wednesday nights at 6:30. And the book is Keep A True Lent by Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, and there's a couple of copies in the bookstore. And the other thing you could do is just study Keep A True Lent if you can't come to the class. And I invite you to study it with another person. Reverend Kathleen and I are Keep A True Lent buddies this year. And one year Heidi and I were Keep A True Lent buddies. And it really helps because this book is very deep. And there are times I need to talk about it to somebody to say, what are you getting from this? You know, I'm having a little question here. And so do it 2 by 2 as the disciples went forth, or come and do it together, or I should say either or and, because I'm going to be doing both. So we've explored these spiritual powers of faith and strength. We've identified the human condition of not knowing about them or not using them, and identified the spiritual solution of actually calling them forth, training them and sending them out, and how to put this into practice through prayer and meditation and study. So I celebrate that as a result of this message, we are willing to call forth our faith and our strength, give them power and authority, send them out in the world under the direction of Christ consciousness. And I celebrate that for Lent we are willing to give up anything that is holding us back from doing so. And let's begin doing so right now in the sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite us to just take a moment to observe the breath, allowing it to find its own rhythm and pace. Allowing each breath to relax the body, quiet the mind, and open the heart. So we'll have 2 periods of silence during today's meditation. So as we begin to call forth our faith, I invite you to focus on the center of your brain, the pineal gland, and bring your breath to that area, breathing in and out as if through the pineal gland. And just hear these words as your own as you continue breathing through the faith center. I realize that my faith in the invisible is building a real abiding substance in my mind and in my body. Spiritual ideas grow quickly when planted in the rich soil of my mind, and my body temple changes accordingly. I call forth my spiritual power of faith to identify with the truth that I am a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe, governed by spiritual ideas, until I become the Christ expression of faith. I affirm, I have faith in the glorious infusion of the more abundant life of Christ vitalizing me. I am lifted up and healed as I call forth my faith under the direction of Christ consciousness in the silence. You are now commissioned this day to carry out the light of faith. And as we begin to call forth our strength, I invite you to focus the breath in the area of the small of the back. Breathing in and out as if breathing through the small of the back. Hearing these words as yours. As I relax more and more and lift my consciousness to harmonize with the ever-present perfect mind, I am invigorated and restored to stabilizing power. No harm can befall me. I am made strong through spirit. I call forth my spiritual power of strength to fortify me until I am one with infinite strength. I affirm the joy of the Lord is a wellspring within me, and I am established in divine strength. As I call forth my strength under the direction of Christ consciousness in the silence. You are commissioned this day to carry forth the light of strength. As we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, silently say, thank you, Christ consciousness in me, that I am now commissioned to carry forth the light of faith and the light of strength. Thank you, thank you, thank you, that it is so, and so it is, and so I am. Amen.